Figuring out when you should bring a caregiver into your life to support you and your loved one isn't easy. If you've never hired anyone before, a lot of questions will swirl around in your head and actually get in the way and prevent you from making any decision. Questions like, can I afford it? Or where do I find the right person? Or how can I trust someone to care for my loved one? The other factor is that few of us truly like change. And the fact that you've already experienced so much disruption in your life, you don't want to cause any more by bringing in a caregiver, even though you know that your life is not in a good place. For most families, they become so immersed in the day-to-day things, in the weeds of their lives, because they have little choice. And it's difficult to step back and see what's really going on. Believe me, I've been there. But what's also true, and what I know, is that as parents and family members, we can't be the primary caregiver forever. Our bodies won't let us. And at some point, we're going to need the support of others to keep us fresh, to ensure that our loved ones are well supported. So when is the right time to bring in a caregiver? Well, it really comes down to 3 warning signs that tell you you've reached that point. You feel trapped. When Ben was young, one health crisis seemed to blend into the next, and we never could really predict when the next emergency would be. With life so complicated, we couldn't imagine finding anyone who would, 1, want to care for Ben, and 2, be qualified enough. At the time, Jan was the one at home with the 3 kids all day, but it was weighing on everybody. She needed a change of routine and get back to work, but we couldn't wrap our heads around leaving Ben with anybody. It was apparent that we had backed ourselves into a corner, and it wasn't a good place to be. We really needed 2 incomes since Ben's world was so expensive, but we couldn't figure out how we could afford to pay a caregiver. It was such a dilemma. You are exhausted. One of the risks of being the only caregiver in your loved one's life is that you become a single point of failure. If anything happens to you, there's no backup, right? And you certainly can't call in sick anytime that you want to. The idea that you can always be the one on the hook for all the day-to-day needs isn't realistic, no matter how Herculean you think you are. The longer that this happens, the more tired you're going to become, the less sharp you're going to be, and you'll at making the right decisions, and the greater risk you'll get sick. And then what? Your relationships are suffering. Our first attempt to hire someone for Ben was really only to cover the time between when Jan left for her evening shift and I got home from my job, which was just a couple of hours. This was really more like babysitting, I guess, than caregiving. But we chose this compromise because we thought it made sense. Jan could work evenings and I could continue to work days, which would get her back to work, and we would theoretically have more income to support Ben. And after a few months, we saw things get slightly better financially, but Jan and I never saw each other. We were like 2 ships passing in the night. And after a few years of this insane routine, we had turned into a couple of zombies. It wasn't good for our health, it wasn't good for our relationship, and our kids, they certainly weren't getting the best of their mom and dad. In our case, all these warning signs didn't occur at the same time, but they did tell us loud and clear that we couldn't do everything on our own. This was no way to live. Once we made the leap to hiring a caregiver, and it is a leap, absolutely, we've never looked back. And we can help you bring a great caregiver into your life, one you can trust. We developed a formula that shows you step by step how to get there. It's called the Caregiver Support Formula. To learn more about it, just go to csfprogram.com or send me an email anytime at mike@SoaringFamilies.com, and let's talk about your caregiver needs and how you can get there. That's why we created Soaring Families. We want to help you be successful and achieve the freedom that you deserve. Take care and keep soaring.